Evolutionary.org podcast coming your way, guys. Episode 398. Stevesmi here and the Rickster. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
All right, guys. So last week, you guys listened to an episode where we went over single compounds for cutting, bulking, recomp for newbies, intermediate, and advanced. Well, this one, we're going to do double compound cycles, meaning 2 compounds per cycle, the best we recommend. So this is a really, really good idea that Rick came up with, and it's going to be a really cool episode. Right, Rick?
Yeah, you guys are really going to enjoy it. I mean, the whole point of these series of podcasts are we're going to give you some of our knowledge and ideas on stacking compounds together by the different levels of expertise. We're going to be talking about what a new guy that's not really been into performance enhancement drugs, but it's hot 5, 7, 8 years of natural training under their belt and some supplements. And this is kind of his first, second, third little run. Then also what an intermediate guy might use, a guy that's been doing cycles on and off for years and has tried many different compounds, knows his body. And also what a pro would use, guy going on stage with a coach, knows all his way around these compounds. And we're saying what would be the one thing or the 2 things that this guy could use for this purpose. So yeah, I mean, very interesting. Should help you guys gain some more ideas and some more knowledge. You can make your own decisions about how you're going to run things. So yeah, let's take it away, Steve. What's up?
So the first one we're going to do, guys, we're going to talk about cutting and for a newbie. So we go over a couple. I think you know what? If we're going to do it, let's do it this way. Let's do cardarine GW at 20 milligrams a day and then do SR 9009, 5 to 20 milligrams pre-exercise. And let's get in an exercise morning and evening, and let's do some fasting. Why don't we do 1 large meal a day at lunch and then alternate where we do 1 large meal at lunch one day. Then the next day we do 2 meals in a 6-hour window. Then the next day, go back to 1 meal, large meal at lunch. And we alternate that way. So it's kind of a fasting protocol. And that will really keep your insulin levels down and it'll keep your body in fat burning mode. And then let's make sure we get in a good workout before we eat lunch. And then on the alternating day before we get into our eating window. And that will allow us basically to to do fasted cardio and fasted weight training. And that's going to kind of boost our fat loss as well. So I think any newbie, no matter what, the nice thing about this, you could be overweight, you could be 30% body fat, you could be 12% body fat trying to get under 10%, you could be 30% trying to get down to 20%, whatever. This will work for everybody, and it's a very, very extremely safe one to do. Now for intermediate cutting, I think that you can go piggyback off of that. You could run one of those, the GW at SR 9009, whichever one of your choice, and then go ahead and run it with my favorite cutting oral, which is Anavar, oxandrolone. And you could run the Anavar at 40 to 50 milligrams a day, and as a male. And, that will give you some really, really good results. There are some studies and some evidence out there that show that Anavar can aid in fat loss. So if you got that Anavar and the GW working together, it's a really mild cycle. You can do it for 6 weeks. There's no side effects really to speak of. And you'll get really good results. Like you'll do a 6-week transformation and you won't pay a penalty with your health in the process. So I think that's a really good stack for that. And then for our advanced users, I think running, again, GW with something more strong like Trenbolone, I think that will help cut you down. I think it's makes a huge difference when you're running Trenbolone or run GW with it, because it'll help you keep some of the side effects managed. I think 20 milligrams they had the cardarine, and then do like 250 milligrams a week of the Trembolone if you're an advanced user. Now, if you don't want to do the Trembolone, you could simply do EQ. Do 400 milligrams a week of EQ, 500 milligrams or 600 milligrams even. And you can cut really nicely on the EQ. If your diet is in check and you're exercising like you should be doing, I think we'll get really, really good results as an experienced user. And then you can also run a low dose of testosterone with the EQ. That can be your two steroids to use to cut down. And it's a good stack. I mean, it's not rocket science at all, but it works. How about you, Rick?
All right, so let's take cutting one by one. So on our last episode, I said that the newbie would get GW, intermediate guy would get Anavar, and the advanced guy would get high dosage of Winstrol. Now, we're stepping up to 2 compounds on this episode. Intermediate and the beginner guy, still want to give him GW along with Osterin. Now we throw another SARM there. Now, Osterin is going to help that beginner guy gain some muscle mass, maybe keep more of his muscle mass during the cut. And it's going to just add more anabolism, is going to make him more anabolic so that he's not losing too much of his muscle mass during this cutting cycle. And Osterin is great. It's great for a newbie. The PCT is not horrible on it. You can just use HC Generate and do well on it. N2 Generate is the new name of my product. If you want to check it out, go to hcgenerate.com. It's my product that I make for you guys specifically for these purposes. So please support me, support the brand. And Osterin, throw that on top with some HC Generate. At that point, are you taking two SARMs? You definitely want to incorporate even just at 2 to 3 capsule per day dose of N2 Guard. It's it's a good stack. Now, intermediate guy had said Anavar. This guy should use Anavar, should go with VAR. Well, now that we are talking about cutting here, and the guy's using that Anavar, chances are I would say, hey, dude, throw a little bit of Primobolan in with the Anavar. Primo is a nice, good, safe steroid. Not a ton of different concerns from it. The only main concern with Primo is just getting good, legitimate Primo. And if he's an intermediate guy, he's been shopping around for a little while, he'll find it. And just stack that Primo on with the Anavar. Good little cutting cycle. I'm going to use Primo more for these guys later on as the cycle's going, but it's a good stack. Advanced guy going on stage, doing it all. Masteron. Throw the Masteron on there. It's going to dry you up even more. You're going to act more as an anti-estrogen. Chances are you crash your estrogen at this point. You're dry as a bone. Joints feel brittle. Your skin is paper thin. Masteron contributes to all of that, to those aesthetic looks of cutting. And why would I give Masteron to the advanced guy and not the intermediate guy? And I gave the Primo. In this case is side effects and results. The advanced guy is already taking a big chunk of Winstrol every single day. That's drying him up. It's making his body flush water out. We throw Masteron, it'll do more than that. And it'll dry him out even more. But there are more concerns. Now you're even more prone to injuries. You have to manage your hydration properly because you're going to get dry. You're talking about a different set of concerns. And this is why the higher level guy gets the stuff that he needs to be more concerned with when it comes to a kind of side effects he might be dealing with. So that's it. That's it. Newbie stack, 2 compounds. Osterin, GW, intermediate stack, 2 compounds, Primobolan and Anavar, and then the advanced stack, two compounds, Winstrol and Masteron for that guy who's probably getting ready to step on stage, and this time around he's only using 2 compounds, right? Hypothetically, just for the purposes of the show, Masteron and Winnie. What we got, Steve?
All right, so let's take it to the next one, and then we'll continue on. We're going to do the intermediate, then we're going to do the advanced. So All right, so let's do intermediate for newbies. I'm sorry, the bulking for newbies. So look, it depends on the situation. Look, if you're ready for steroids, you cannot beat a simple testosterone, 400 milligrams a week with some Dianabol. Dianabol, like 20 milligrams a day. Make sure you're using an AI, of course, with it. But look, any idiot can bulk testosterone and D-bol. What else do you really need? Your big enemy on that stack is estrogen. But, you know, if you want to truly bulk, that's the direction you want to go. You know, and it works. It works very well. One of the main reasons it works is not just the water retention, it's also the appetite increase. So you'll get amazing appetite increases. Next one for intermediate, I think low dose testosterone and DECA. 400, 500 milligrams of DECA. Let DECA work its magic, guys. I see too many guys who want to run the same amount of testosterone with the same amount of DECA. When you do that, you're not letting the DECA work its magic. So I'm not a fan of that strategy. I think that you should always make sure that you're running the DECA and letting it do its magic. DECA is really good for your joint health. It's really good for your mood. It's really good for your appetite. So let it work its magic. Great for bulking. A lot of guys will enjoy it. And then for advanced, if you want to bulk and you're advanced, I think, you know, I'm gonna say this: DECA with trenbolone. And a lot of people say, "Oh, Steve, you know, are you crazy? You shouldn't run those two together." Look, why not? They're perfect together. DECA is a mild anabolic steroid. Tren is a harsh androgenic steroid. It's like
some guys will have issues with their dick on that stack. Not everyone out there, but if you're prone to it, those two will fuck with your dick big time.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, look, guys, I mean, you know, anything can fuck with your dick.
Trend makes you horny and makes orgasm quite delayed. And then DECA could just make it hard for you to even get an erection. Not everybody has these problems, but if you're prone to it,
but we're not talking about erections. This isn't, you know, stack for regular. This is a stack for bulking.
Listen, the theme of the show is always erections, no matter what we're talking about at the end of the day, bro.
If you go into cycle thinking, "Oh, this is gonna screw up my erections," oh, blah blah blah, then of course you're gonna have problems with erections. So
you guys think you listen to bodybuilding show? This is a show about men being concerned about their erections, really at the core of
it. So the reason though DECA and Tren are so good together, because DECA, mood, appetite, and then Tren, just sheer size, mass. One of the best steroid stacks you could run overall is DECA and Tren. And you know, that's one of those that's the unicorn. That's the one that I wish I had run, you know, when I was younger. I'm not sure if I'll ever have the opportunity to run them together again. My priorities are a little different. But, you know, if you're in the prime of your weight training, you gotta try that stack. Just the DECA Tren stack. It is magical. It is magical. On paper, anecdotal evidence from guys who have used it, it's been fantastic. And, you know, it's definitely worth a shot. And it's great for bulking. All right, Rick, I'll let you take it away on the recomp.
So, did I do bulking already?
No, I'm sorry. You're bulking. You're up for bulking. And then take us to recomp.
Took me for a loop there. I'm like, for a second there, Steve, I went, holy fuck, it's starting already. I'm losing my fucking memory. We just did bulking and I forgot it. Look, you were wrong. Woo. All right. So bulking. So on our last episode, I suggested that the newbie would get turinabol. The medium mid-level guy would use low dose of Dianabol. And then the top level guy would do high doses of Anadrol. And I'm still kind of feeling that way. So, newbie, You got that turinabol in there already. What else can you toss in there that's not going to give you a ton of side effects, that's going to play well with the turinabol, that's going to get you where you want to go? EQ, equipoise. I could have said testosterone, but you then raise concerns about estrogen, which are not quite issues when it comes to EQ. So I would throw equipoise right on top of that turinabol. Equipoise and dianabol, I've said on the podcast, kind of same hormone. One of them has an ester chain, the other one is methyl, right? 17 alkali group, which is the dianabol. Turinabol is just a different version of dianabol that can't aromatize. There's molecules have been shifted around so that the aromatase enzyme can't do anything to turinabol the way it does to dianabol. So they're kind of in the same ballpark. So turinabol and equipoise, bulking cycle for a newbie, very low side effects to deal with, good, nice bulking. Intermediate guy, he's doing that D-ball. He's doing 10 to 20 milligrams a day. No AI, just writing out that estrogen, little Novadex on hand in case his nipples get sore. What else can you throw on top of that dianabol cycle to give it some strength? Testosterone. At that point, you will need an aromatase inhibitor. And we're not counting the auxiliary drugs or the supplements as part of the compounds, but bulking guy, mid-level, you've been doing it for a while. You know what is what. Testosterone would be a good one to add right in there. Testosterone will get you where you're going. And it should be fairly side effect free. As a matter of fact, some guys doing Debo only cycles get a little bit lethargic. I think a good dose of testosterone, not overdoing it, can take the edge over that a little bit. So testosterone. The advanced guy, big guy, doing that anadrol, 50, 100, 150 mgs of anadrol a day. Big guy, competitor, big dude. I didn't know what was the best thing to give this guy at first. I really thought about testosterone as a really good option in there, but I'm going to go back to kind of what Steve said. That guy, he's bulking, competitor guy, big guy. He's got a cabinet full of auxiliary drugs he can take. He knows his body well. He knows what he's doing. He can throw some Deca right on top of that anadrol. And normally I'd never recommend that at all for anyone out there because it'll fuck with your dick, chances are. Chances are it'll fuck with your dick. But if you're a top level guy, you got a coach, you got Proviron on hand, Dostinex, Propecia, Finasteride. I mean, you got everything lying around. Nova, Arimistane, Aromacin. You got Letrozole. You got all this stuff lying around. Cialis, Levitra, Viagra. Typical bodybuilder that's been in the game ordering research chemicals their whole life. That guy can throw some fucking Deca right on top of that anadrol. Test would not be a bad idea to throw on top of that anadrol, but we'll change it up a little bit from the medium guy. Deca is the way to go. So bulking, beginner guy, just turinabol, a little bit of EQ. You still don't need a ton of auxiliary drugs, not a ton of stuff to worry about. Middle guy, he's going to be taking for bulking dianabol and some test. Aromatizing, might need one little extra compound in there or two, some anti-estrogens, Arimistane, a little bit of Arimistane, 50 mgs of Arimistane a day. Some Nova, maybe if you're bulking, you write the estrogen conversion from the testosterone too. And then at that point, you're just taking some Nova to keep from getting gyno. And then, big guy on the scene, Deca anadrol. We're not worried about the dick. It looks tiny in those posing trunks anyway. Who gives a fuck? You're not too worried about the sex life coming up to a show or during this phase or whatever. And if you are, I mean, you've got all the auxiliary drugs and the experience to use them that anybody could need to bring themselves back from a little bit of a libido hiccup from mixing Deca and Anadrol. So that's it, man. That's my spiel. What else we got?
Yeah, man. So take us into the recomp. I'll let you do the honors first.
Okay, so recomposition. Recomposition, where we are trying to gain muscle mass and lose body fat. The beginner guy, I had him start off with primobolan. The middle guy, I had him do trenbolone. And then the last guy, the pro, I had him do Superdrol. Now, since we're adding another compound and we're recomping, so my beginner guy is recomping with primobolan right now. Okay. And I want to help him get something that's going to help him recomp without creating a huge need for more and different and other drugs. And at this point, the best thing he could stack with that primobolan in order to help recomp his physique, I would say, is Anavar. You know, when it comes to recomp, your first choice should be primo. And if you can do 500, 1,000 milligrams of primo a week, that's what you can do. That's what you should do. But let's say for one or other reason, you're limited on how much primo you can do per week, but you can add a second steroid, but you can't do a high dose of primo for money or availability, who knows, but you can add a second steroid. Anavar will get him there. Anavar will be a good recomping steroid to use along with that primobolan. Intermediate guy doing that trenbolone, you know, he's the recomping guy doing that trend, will be a good steroid for him to stack along with the trend in that recomp. A little bit of EQ. EQ won't have any real serious estrogen issues. EQ plays very well with trenbolone. EQ and trenbolone, motherfucking play. Those two are great. One of my better cycles that I've ran a few times over, trenbolone, test prop, and EQ. That little trifecta, such a nice little cycle. They play off each other. The side effects are very predictable and not very harsh. So throw that in for the guy. Equipoise with that trend for that recomp. I could have went with some Winstrol in the trend, but this is my middle guy, and I'd be afraid to give him Winstrol and trend. Again, those two could fuck with your dick and could have some severe side effects together. And now my top level guy taking that Superdrol, that Superdrol, and he is recomping. Will be the second compound. Human growth hormone, man. Human growth hormone for recomping for the bigger guy. Why the big guy? A big guy spending more money. A big guy has better connects to get legit human growth hormone. Big guy has the consistency to take the growth hormone as much as he, all the time. A big guy is doing the long cycles, 3-4 months on switching compounds to really take full advantage of that of that human growth hormone the way one should. So yeah, recomping, big guy, he's going to be doing human growth hormone along with his Superdrol cycle. That's it, man. What you got?
All right, so recomping guys, listen, that's the unicorn. Recomping, very, very hard. A lot of guys try it. Not many guys are able to succeed. It's one of the hardest things to do in bodybuilding. That is gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time. So definitely compounds help. So if you're a beginner, you want to start out with something easy, do some GW, do some S23. That'd be a good stack for recomping. The S23 is very good at building muscle, building strength quickly. And then the GW is good for cutting fat. So I think that would be a good stack together. Now, if you're intermediate, we're in steroids. An intermediate user, he's into steroids. He wants to get ready for the beach. He He wants to recomp. He doesn't want to have a bird chest, but he doesn't want to have a gut either. So he wants to have a six-pack without being skinny. That's the challenge, right? So obviously, your diet, your training is very important. But I think something like doing a trenbolone and EQ cycle would be very, very good together. Like you said, Rick, they're very good together, like peanut butter and jelly. EQ, very mild. Trenbolone, very strong, very androgenic. So they stack extremely well together. I have a lot of respect for that stack. I'd run it like 200 milligrams a week of the Tren or 250 milligrams and then do like 400 or 500 milligrams of the EQ. You should get some really good results on that. Now, advanced users, you can do something like Anadrol and do something like that. That's going to bulk you up. And you could do something like Winstrol, something like that. Winstrol, very, very good for drying out. Anadrol, very, very good for bulking. It's an interesting stack. They're both DHT derivatives, but Anadrol is very different than Winstrol because on Anadrol, it does a good job of binding to estrogen receptors. So you're going to get some size. You're going to get some nice size on your frame. You're going to get a nice androgenic effect on your frame. The Winstrol is going to dry you out. So you could do that, or you could stack the Winstrol with Trenbolone if you've got the courage. That's a brutal stack. I ran that before. It was tremendous for recomping, but the side effects are extremely brutal. Your head hair is going to be falling out like crazy. Your prostate is going to be the size of a grapefruit. So, but again, that's why you're advanced, right? You're advanced, and that's why we're telling you as an advanced user that you can get away with that stack. But it's a very, very risky stack if you don't know what you're doing. So, that pretty much sums it up, Rick. I think it's important, to remember, guys, at the end of the day, it's your diet, it's your training, it's your genetics that's going to dictate, how good of results you can get from these very potent steroids. What else you want to add?
Hey, it's a great show. I think a lot of people are gaining some good knowledge. We're being able to transfer some of our experience here through explain our logic, building these cycles and how things would interact together. I hope guys are really listening, and it's something that's going to help you make your own decisions in your own life about what ways you want to go with your progress. So yeah, man, great episode. So the next compound episode, we're going to do same run, 3 compounds. And I'm going to surprise everyone with some of the changes I'm going to make. You see, when you're constrained to just one compound, then you got to pick what's best for that one thing. And if you got 2 compounds, then, I could play a little bit of a game and just add it on as an additional. But now if you're telling me start off with 3 compounds, like I could give someone 3 compounds to start off with, there's going to be some changes to who gets what and why. And that'll be real interesting for you guys to listen to in the next episode. I hope so. See you guys here next week.
All right, guys. So this is episode number 398. We're almost to 400. Talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.